Let's look at several key Renaissance scientists leading up to Newton and his law of gravity. We start with Galileo, who lived from the late 16th to the early 17th century. He died the same year Newton was born. In addition to being considered the father of experimental science, well, not that science, he supported the Copernican or heliocentric model of the solar system, and discovered the moons of Jupiter. He also determined that objects once in motion continued in motion unless affected by an outside force, thus anticipating Newton's first law. He further found that objects fell at a rate proportional to the square of the time. Though he was a Roman Catholic, he had 3 daughters out of wedlock. 2 remained in the convent and 1 married. Due to his views on heliocentrism, the church confined him to his house in the last few years, but his banned Dialogues was published posthumously. In 1992, Pope John Paul officially expressed regret at the church's handling of Galileo. Tycho Brahe was a wealthy nobleman and a Danish astronomer, alas poor Yorick. A contemporary of Galileo, he also supported the Copernican model, and for 20 years he methodically recorded the location of the planets every day. Well, every clear day. A bit of an eccentric, he had his nose cut off in a duel and wore a gold-silver prosthetic nose thereafter. He retained a dwarf as a court jester and kept a pet moose who roamed free in his mansion. The moose is rumored to have died from falling down a staircase, having consumed too much beer. Recent analysis shows he may have died of mercury poisoning. Some stories accuse Johannes Kepler of poisoning him to get his data. On Brahe's death, Kepler was given Brahe's post as imperial mathematician for the empire and access to all his data. Which brings us to Johannes Kepler. Look at his face. Would you let your sister date this man? Kepler was a brilliant mathematician, astronomer, and astrologer. He developed, from access to Brahe's data, his famous 3 laws of planetary motion. Newton would use these mathematical rules of orbital motion to corroborate his theory of gravitation. He's also generally considered to be the first to recognize that images are projected, inverted, and reversed on the retina. He is also credited with writing the first science fiction, Somnium, published posthumously. It was a story of interplanetary travel. Finally, Sir Isaac Newton was born in the year Galileo died. Mathematician, physicist, astronomer, also alchemist, and a bit of a religious heretic. He invented calculus, mathematically formalized the study of motion in his 3 laws, gravity and light in his 2 famous publications, Principia and Optics. His development of calculus paralleled that of Leibniz, and there's a debate over who was truly first. Leibniz's format proved easier to use, and we use it today. Newton was fairly misanthropic, perhaps developed at 7 years old when he was sent away to live elsewhere by his mother when she remarried. He resented this for the rest of his life. As a member of the Royal Society, he had difficulties with another scientist, Robert Hooke. They detested each other. His famous quote, "If I have seen further, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants," was actually meant to humiliate Hooke, who was so stooped and physically deformed he had the appearance of a dwarf. Later in life, he ran the British Mint, sending numerous counterfeiters to the gallows. Certainly a colorful collection of characters.